Hi, Jess. It's great to be here with you. I'm excited to talk about a topic which is on top of the mind of quite a few Americans. Is it unpatriotic to move money outside the US?
Yeah, that's a great question. Since I am the American in the office, I guess I am the best to answer this. It's an interesting question, right? Is it unpatriotic to leave the U.S.? Is it unpatriotic to set up a life somewhere else? And I would argue, as a nation of immigrants, as the United States, people coming to the States, building wealth. If you're planning to live in the United States your whole life, your generations, which in today's world is, there's more of a question: what's outside of the borders? But for me, it makes actually a lot more sense if you're a person who believes you're patriotic, let's put it that way, or you love the United States, right? And you're aware, most Americans are very much aware of the challenges that the US face. But creating a platform for your family to live a life and have the effect on the country, I think it actually is almost not patriotic to consider how to best invest and diversify your wealth. Leaving the United States for the preservation of generational wealth and having investments outside to create a stable platform to seek returns, to look for stability actually is something that allows Americans to have a better platform to work from, right? If my next generations have a stable platform of wealth, of appreciation, of investments, a little bit more money to deal with, they're going to be better set up to actually affect the country and do things that are going to be positive for the country, right? I mean, at the end, money will flow back into the States, right? If you're living there, paying bills, passing it to the next generation. And so for me, the question is, I think it's fine to ask, and I think it's a good one to ask, to question, why am I doing this? But even if you're moving abroad, it is something that is for you as an American to have a life that the country kind of gave you, right? You worked hard, but it was in an environment in the US. And so for me, I do not think it is unpatriotic at all. Actually, I think it's quite opportunistic in the sense of you're allowed to do it. It's legal. The avenues are there, and they're there for a good reason.
Yeah, I think that's said very beautifully. And one thought I also had is a lot of innovation which is scaled in the US, which is like brought to the markets, is also coming from foreign countries. So as an American, like collecting experiences outside the US and taking it back to make your own country more or greater, I think that's very much going into the direction of being patriotic and thinking, okay, how can I contribute to my own country? And I know a lot of Americans living abroad, and they are oftentimes very proud of the country, but they have a very nuanced perspective of what actually works in the US and what doesn't. And obviously they get off of certain things they really don't like, but they also see all the beautiful things in the US that work and that can lead to more wealth and to more prosperity within their own community and society.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things growing up in the US was already brought up in a very globalistic mindset, because my parents brought that to my attention and talked about it and had their experiences abroad. And those are things that add value in the end. And the US is the country it is because of people going abroad, making good deals. Nothing to the current administration, not a political stance at all, but the U.S. has been an international moving nation. Companies have become international. It's nothing new to do business outside of the U.S., and that individuals have that ability to do that for their own private wealth is something that should be talked about more, and Americans should really understand that this is almost a value that you're missing out because you shrink your mind, and Americans historically have never been the ones to shrink their mind, and I hope that continues.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very good point. If you think about all the big companies like Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Microsoft, and so on, I mean, they spread their wings around the world and they sell the products. And no one tells them that's unpatriotic.
No.
They are investing abroad wherever they can
Yeah.
I mean, to a certain extent, maybe they say if it's about production, but when it comes to selling the products to generate wealth for the Americans,
Yeah.
nobody has this perspective.
No, and I think that's should be something that individuals can take to themselves as well.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on this topic.
Absolutely.